today, Chris and I are going to give our hot takes as conservatives slash Christians. And they're not like conservative hot takes exactly. They're like things that we wish Christians and conservatives made a higher priority or like talked about more, that we've sort of ceded to liberals. Hey guys, welcome back to With All Her Mind. I have our favorites guests, our favorite podcast guests. My husband, Christopher Kuehl, with us today. And even though it looks like we are in the Garden of Eden, we're not, sadly. We are in the garden of Chris's parents.
Of the Keels.
Of the Kuehls. So we are on the road right now. I talked about how we're in the middle of moving, and this is part of our moving process. We're spending some time here, some time with my parents. And soon we'll be in our own place and we'll be settled and it will be really wonderful, hopefully. So I'll start with one of my hot takes.
Okay.
One of mine is I think we should absolutely care about the environment. And as I said that, a little bug flew by just in time. Wait, just kidding. And I'm not saying that there aren't conservatives who care about the environment, because there absolutely are. But when you think about like the conservative movement, it's something that comes to mind. In fact, the opposite kind of comes to mind, like big corporations that sort of take advantage of the environment and maybe prioritizing corporations even above like human flourishing / the environment. And here's why I think this really matters from a Christian perspective as well, is that we're supposed to be good stewards of everything. We're supposed to be good stewards of our finances, of our families, but also of like nature and the earth. And there's this idea, unfortunately, that happens on the left when we cede this ground, when we, like, as conservative Christian people, don't also care about these issues. And it's this idea that humans are like foreign invaders who have come and ruined nature, and animals in the environment are paying the price for it. Which is not true. We are part of nature as humans. And it's funny because those same people will also be like, oh, we're just another animal. And I'm like, cool, I'll give you that we're another animal. We're an animal made in the image of God and with a higher intelligence and a higher accountability. Therefore, we are part of nature. And so our flourishing also matters.
Yeah.
I think the left sometimes will like put animal flourishing above human flourishing or at like an equal value. And we can't like ever do that at the cost of human lives. But that doesn't mean we can't care about it.
Yeah. Well, and animals also change nature to like exist like where they need to exist as well. But here's my hot take on your hot take.
Oh, let's hear it.
Now, my experience is that true conservationists, by and large, are always conservative or right. And I come from a hunting background, which I think hunters are one of the most conscientious people. They spend so much time in the woods. They really understand,
like real hunters, not like Joe hunters.
Yeah. Like the ones that are from these states where you're outside a lot and you are actually you understand what numbers need to exist in a certain population and why they can't grow past that, and why if they do go past that, it's bad for other things in the ecosystem. They actually have a pulse on this stuff. They're not going out into the woods and littering. They're the ones going and taking care of the environment. They spend the most time there. And by and large, these are always conservative. So in my experience, true conservationists, by and large, always do come from conservative, but it's, for whatever reason, it's only the left that talks about this, probably because the people that are actually doing that stuff aren't online and talking about
Busy.
how they're they care about it from the halls of Washington, D.C. or whatever. But I do think that it has become a left-wing talking point. And I think that specifically I think one of the reasons is because a lot of the UN and a lot of the globalist stuff have really kind of come in and tried to own this talking point, which I think is a real shame, because I think they're really bad at it, and they do have kind of a anti-human earth over human flourishing perspective, which I don't think is conservationist. Actually, I don't think that's not a balanced perspective. And the real people that are actually out doing this work, in my experience, have been by and large actually like conservative or people that have a more of a biblical worldview. But
Yeah.
one of our first mandates was to take care of the earth and to steward the earth. And we are supposed to be doing that, I think, while understanding that it's humanity that exists at the top of that importance, and the earth exists predominantly for humans. And so, from that perspective, like we need to order everything else that we do. But I think it's ridiculous not to care about that.
Yeah. And I was hanging out with a really good friend of mine yesterday, and she and I were talking about this issue and how anytime that, like, biblically, anytime like authority is given, there's also a high degree of responsibility. And like authority in scripture often comes, majority of the time that I know of, comes with servant leadership.
Yeah.
And so I think the problem is that when people who have a very authoritarian, totalitarian
Mhm.
understanding of authority here, like humans have to come first. That's really a scary thought because they think it's like to lord over
Yeah.
creation in a like just to serve ourselves.
Right.
But as Christians, we recognize that no, we're placed at the top to serve
Mhm.
and to love and to cultivate and steward animals,
Mhm.
the environment, businesses, all of it.
Mhm.
And what's unfortunate is that the left owns the talking point, but
Yeah.
they're not very good at coming up with solutions. Sorry. I don't, if you're a leftist and you feel like really you have good solutions, maybe you do. But
Yeah.
here's some ones that I think are
But
not good solutions.
energy is like a great discussion
Oh,
on
yeah.
this because they're obsessed with energy. Um, but the reality is that the human population would have never grown to the state it is now had it not been for our ability to like use specifically fossil fuels and other things like that. Like there's just no way that
There are responsible ways to do that.
sure, totally.
And there are irresponsible ways to do it. Like
And
you don't want to like spill it out into the ocean,
right,
kill
and
a
then
bunch of animals.
right, but there will always be accidents as
Yes.
well, and so it's kind of like you look at these nations that don't even have air conditioning. How many of them die from heat?
That's what I was
And
gonna
like
say.
literally every year because they refuse to do these just like basic things because of these like perspectives that put Earth, whatever that like ethereal perspective means, over the reality that like they live in a 100-degree environment that you need to cool. Like it's
This is where exactly the point I want to bring up because the last I checked, I think in the US we've had at this point around 1,000 heat related deaths because we've been having a heat wave.
mm,
They had the same heat wave in Europe and they've had thousands,
yeah.
thousands and thousands have died from the same thing that only caused 1,000 deaths in the US. And go look at a map to see the size comparison
Mhm.
and population comparisons. If we did not have air conditioning here, we would be having similar numbers of deaths, thousands and thousands, but we
Mhm.
have air conditioning. And so we only had about 1,000. And a lot of times, my understanding is that those are like hikers and stuff, like people
Mhm.
who are intentionally exposing themselves to elements
Yeah, right.
versus like your elderly grandparents who are just sitting in their house and they die of heat stroke because they
Right.
don't have, which is something that's happening in
Yeah,
Europe.
totally.
The other thing, this one really gets me. Okay. Paper straws. How many times have you gotten a coffee and they give you a paper straw and like 15 minutes into it, your straw is
Just like
completely limp and your drink tastes like paper?
so funny.
Terrible.
I think they found out that those weren't even good for you. Like,
I just recently found out that a lot of them have gluten in them, so
yeah.
that's not good for me. But listen to what I found out. Okay, so it was like all started by this kid. I think they were like 6 years old or in sixth grade. So the number six was there somewhere. Okay, and they did this study about like turtles getting
Mhm.
hurt by our plastic. Okay, that's a legitimate thing that does happen. There is, I think it's the size of Texas, like an island of plastic floating in the ocean
Yeah,
around the size of Texas. That's a big problem.
totally.
And I'm really thankful that there are scientists who are working on trying to figure out like what we can do with that. Now, here's the thing. How much of that is from the United States?
I'd say very low. I'd say
Less
it's
than 1%.
okay. I know it's gonna all be China.
Okay. Yeah. Most of it's coming from impoverished Asian
Yeah.
countries. Okay. But how much of the US's plastic do you think that's in that is made up of straws? Less than
Mhm.
1%. So less than 1%
So
of the
high.
1%,
Yeah.
we have made it like that's a fine example of virtue signaling. I'm like, I have a paper straw. Like I care about the earth. No, you don't care about the
Yeah.
earth because you have a paper straw.
You've installed a slogan, and now you think you care about the earth.
Yes. There are other things like, okay, I don't love this idea for whatever reason, and maybe I should, like bringing your own cup. it takes away some of the fun. Okay, so
It's a lot too with coffee or something.
yeah, like, I don't know, and maybe this is a problem that we need to deal with in our
Or to
little
consume
consumer mind.
my paper.
But,
Yeah.
or maybe if they made, like, cute reusable glass ones,
Yeah.
that would be better. But that's a much more effective solution because you're taking care of several pieces of plastic
Mhm.
at once versus, like, just the straw that is and then you're in a landlocked state like Tennessee or Colorado, and you're like, "How much of my plastic straws is making it to the ocean?"
Yeah, right,
Not much.
right.
Um, anyways, okay, so that's, like, a massive example where I'm like, we should care, like, it's good to care,
Mhm.
but, can we care in ways that, like, actually make a difference?
Yeah,
Care in ways that, like, aren't giving people with celiac disease
totally.
gluten in their straws,
Right.
you know?
It is, it's mostly virtue signaling. Okay, this is my turn
Yeah,
for my
give me
hot
your
take.
hot
Well,
take.
I don't know if it's exactly hot take, but I feel like the right conflates a couple different things, like, specifically capitalism, which I think drives consumerism, which I think is a really negative thing in America right now. I think our consumerism is off the
Do you
chain,
think the conflation is between consumerism and capitalism?
to some degree, but I think that, like, you know, I think that we have no balance in what we consume, and I think a lot of that is driven by, a capitalism, which I do think is, like, the best
Yeah,
economic system by and large, but I think the idea that there does not need to be any, like, spiritual impulse baked into even an economic system, that it's just gonna be, like, even if it's good, that it's gonna be just good without, like, having something else to, like, balance impulses that all systems, like, tend towards.
yeah.
Um, I think that I don't know. I think in America we are disgusting fat people, and I love America, but I think
There's that's the hot take right there.
we are so like just you know,
There is
we've gourded
a
ourselves,
gluttonous
yes, towards
attitude.
everything.
Yes.
Um, you know, clothing, food,
Screens.
screens, like the timeline scroll, everything. It's just like consume, consume, consume. And, I think it's, like, destroying us to some degree, and I don't feel like anyone ever talks about how, like first of all, how unscriptural this is, but also how bad it is for us,
Yeah.
like, it's both. I think many people, like ourselves included, occasionally get into an area that I would say, like, this is probably, like, actually sinful, but also it's certainly not good for us, like, which can be distinct, like, 2 different things. I just think, like, I don't know, we've lost the plot, and I think a lot of that is baked up into the idea of producing and capitalism and all these things, and I'm a capitalist, like, I totally,
Yeah.
totally am, like, I'm not knocking that, but I don't think that the capitalist system is perfect. I think that any system is a lot like what the founders talked about, that basically, what did they say? Like
People who govern themselves basically needs to be virtuous people,
exactly,
people who value
exactly,
virtue.
and so, I
And
think
corporations don't value
totally,
virtue.
totally, and I think
They value
and they
money
and their primary motivation is to get you to scroll the timeline and to, order the next thing and to
because
be
the
dissatisfied.
motivation is financial,
Right,
which
exactly.
the more you scroll, the more you
Exactly.
consume.
So, there is no impulse that slows any of this down, and I think it's just kind of destroying our sense of wonder, or destroying our thankfulness, destroying our ability to have peace, or the kind of all I think it has all these downstream effects, just the level at which we consume, like,
Yeah.
everything, yeah.
I think people are afraid to have that conversation because they're scared. Does that mean that I'm saying, like, I believe in socialism or
Right.
a socialistic form of capitalism? And no, I don't think that's the case, but I do think that there's room for conversations. We have, like, the
We can show some
monopoly.
restraint.
Yeah, like, and I think it was during the 1930s when they started implementing anti-monopolizing
Yeah.
measures, and it seems like as technology has advanced, there have been ways to bypass, like, the heart of those laws,
Mhm.
um, which is
And we're guilty of it, like,
yeah,
I mean, all these systems are run because we keep giving them our money, we keep giving them our attention, we keep giving them our time, and so, like, I don't really expect McDonald's to switch to, like, a seed oil-free, gluten-free, organic. That's just, like, not what McDonald's
McDonald's is not
is.
even
Yeah. But what I'm saying is
a problem.
I don't expect Facebook or Instagram or any of this, like, I know that they're out to get me. Like, that is, like, literally what they talk about is how can they control and hardwire my brain to become more, like,
Depends on
dependent on whatever it is they're doing. So I should see them in some ways as the enemy of my peace to some degree, and they're never gonna change, like, that's their motivation. But I think that as Christians, we should talk about this a little bit more. Like, I think it's something that we should be aware of. We definitely need to be raising our families in a way that with this kind of awareness of the pitfalls of
Yeah.
the job of the hut. We're all just fat Job of the Huts, baby. Just consuming.
Oh my gosh. Maybe we can throw up a picture of Jabba the Hutt here in case you don't know what that is. Just a little offensive. All right, my next hot take. And some people are going to be offended by this because they're going to be like, we do care about this. And I'm just going to say there's
Yeah.
a whole lot more room for caring about this. But people with disabilities. And I have a new friend who's in fellowship that I'm a part of, and she's blind. And it was really interesting just like listening to what her life is like and listening to like the needs that she has and the services that she benefits from. And she's conservative, but hearing that and being reminded like not everyone in this world is experiencing life the same way that you are, and some people are born with disabilities, some people acquire disabilities. Some people experience disability for a season. Like I had to become a disabled student at my university when I had endometriosis, in order to be able to legally miss classes without it affecting my grade. I think that most conservative people, they like saw somebody in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, let's help them. Let's do that. But there are people who have like invisible disabilities. And I feel like there's sometimes like a mocking sort of behavior that I have experienced on the right. And maybe it's just among young people, but towards people with disabilities that are invisible. Like, that's not a real thing. And like, you don't really need help.
Like what?
Okay. This was an experience that I had.
Yeah.
I have an autoimmune disease in my bladder. And
Okay.
so legally, because of the American Disability Act, I am allowed to use any bathroom anywhere at any time was going. And they can't ask questions. I just have to say, hey, I have a disability. I have to use the bathroom. And they have to let me go. And I never have to do this anymore because I'm so thankful. But like my autoimmune disease, it's almost like I don't have it most of the time.
Yeah.
But there was a time when it was really, really affecting me.
Interesting.
It would be like excruciatingly painful when I had to go to the bathroom. And so I went to a restaurant and I was like, I really need to use the restroom. And they were like, sorry, you're not a customer. And so I had to say, I have to use the restroom. I have an autoimmune disease in my bladder. Like, you have to let me use your restroom. And it was like really embarrassing.
That's so funny.
But I was like,
I would have been that guy at the restaurant. Like, you have to buy something, lady.
yeah. And I was like, no, I don't. Okay, that's probably not like a great example, but okay, this is something that I think is a good example that people have like a bit of an attitude about. And it's a cool idea. So they're a lanyard that has sunflowers on them. And people who have an invisible disability or have autism that's at a high enough level to affect their life can wear these when they go into public places, specifically like TSA or something like that, where you have to interact with somebody who's going to be like all up in your business, and they can know, hey, this person needs like a little extra grace, a little extra help. And
I feel like all these signs are like meant for me. Like my personality type.
I'm like, these are my hot takes that Chris needs to care about.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like a trend of like everybody's autistic right now, so forget about that. I'm talking about like people who are like level 2, level 3 autistic.
Yeah.
And sorry if you're level 1 autism, maybe you need this too, but there's a lot of people who I don't think are really autistic who, or maybe they are, but we've expanded the definition so much that it's like, that might be all of us.
Yeah.
That's another hot take. But people who are like,
Oh, it is.
not
Because the
so-
internet's making people mentally ill. Like, it really is.
well, that's true too.
That's really a legal term.
But there are people who need extra help when going through security or in certain situations like that where there are long lines and things. And I'm all for that person like having the help that they need. And like if I'm able-bodied, I don't mind like taking a bit of an extra burden on myself, standing in the line an extra 30 seconds for another person to be able to like have the help
Yeah.
they need and go the speed that they need.
The way that I would describe this actually is less about disability, which maybe I don't see this as much, but I do feel like prioritizing people with families
I was actually going to say
that are moving through like
Which is a very conservative take.
And to be honest, though, like, I would have never really understood this till I had kids. Like, I would have never, you don't actually understand the burden, like, especially traveling and things like this, like, just letting someone go first and, like, just not having a weird
Don't have an attitude that
expression, facial expression exactly, like, when they're, um but I think culturally we could be doing a lot more to encourage, like, family flourishing,
Yeah.
which
That was
is
my next hot take.
oh, was it? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Which go ahead.
No, I don't really have a hot take there as much as I mean, I kind of
Which
yeah.
family flourishing, obviously a very Christian, very conservative idea, but I'd probably take it, like, further
Yeah.
than some conservatives would. First of all, I think we would all agree on this one. When we went to Peru and we got, to customs and, like, border patrol or whatever it's called, they had a line for
Yeah,
families.
totally. That should
So
yeah, it
great.
should exist everywhere. You just
Yes.
travel with, like, 3 children under the age of 4, you know?
Yes, I've never seen that in the US before, and I thought, "This is amazing." In a lot of South American countries, I've found are better at being pro-family than we are in the US. But some of the things that I would, like, extend beyond what maybe conservatives would
Mhm.
is I think, like,
Your taxes should go
studies.
down.
Yes, okay, first of all, way more tax breaks. But studies are very, very clear that having a secure attachment with one or both of your parents is life-changing, and it reduces mental illness, it reduces, like, your chances that your kid's gonna commit a crime, like, all the metrics of success, like happiness, fulfillment, all those things go up when you have a secure attachment with a parent. They've also shown that secure attachment with a parent is almost impossible
Mhm.
when you're not able to be with your kids because you're having to work full time. And so you're having to put your kids either in daycare or in some kind of other care where they don't have like a consistent person that's going to be in their life forever, like a grandparent or
Right.
like another family member. So if that's the case, I think, and maybe this isn't the job of the government, but maybe it should be something Christians take upon themselves. We should be doing everything we can to get moms at home with their kids.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Like, my German cousin was telling me that she has, like, 9 months of maternity leave.
14.
14? That's so wild. What do we have here, 6 weeks? 4 weeks?
It depends on your
Yeah.
employer, but nobody
That's
has 14.
totally capitalism right there. Like, that's a product of, like,
It's a toxic part of
yeah, for sure.
capitalism. But it's also here's what I would also say. It's actually more about, in my opinion, feminism. Because feminism has made it necessary that women are involved in the workforce and we value our careers
Yeah,
above everything else. So therefore, even the conservative administration has said, let's get childcare covered
yeah.
for working moms. It's like, whoa, what if we actually helped moms be at home with their kids instead?
Right.
Because most of the time,
Yeah.
that's all she would need is that amount of
Like,
money.
imagine if, like, some jobs were designed for, like, 10 to 20-hour work weeks from home, with specifically in hours that, like, mothers could, like, manage that more. Because I also understand that right now, economically,
Yes.
it's very difficult for just one parent to work, and I'm not, like, trying to scoff at that to say that that's a silly thing that people should not take
No,
like, that's a very real,
it
serious
is.
thing. But I feel like companies could do more to design, tracks for mothers with small kids, you know, and I think that that would be a really good idea.
Yeah. And if you're a Christian business owner, maybe pray and ask how you can become more pro family, what you
Mhm.
can do to encourage um family flourishing and secure attachments because secure attachments are not just like a new fad in my opinion. I think this is really ultimately w- creates a foundation for children to understand the connection they have to God.
Yeah.
So many adults are having to build the pieces back together before they can even be stable enough to believe that God loves them and accepts them because their life has told them everything but that. And so, what can we do to take away that barrier?
Right.
You know, to give kids a solid foundation where they're connected to their parents. They know that
Mhm.
they're going to be there. They know that not only do their parents care, but that their society
Yeah.
cares about that too. I think that would be
That's good. I like that.
pretty culturally
Yeah.
shifting. Could you have any more hot takes?
My last one is my hot take on the right-wing Republican Party, period, which I feel like it's dividing into 2, like, tumors. Like, the one tumor of, like, the MAGA movement where, like, there's all this plasticky women and gross influencer, like, whatever this, like, Mar-a-Lago thing is, and I love
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago. You know what I'm talking
Which
about?
we're not trying to say
We're
that if you're a Trump supporter,
No,
is
I'm not
always
actually.
you. It's a specific group of Trump supporters that
Yeah, that's dominating that, and I do think that Trump is a little bit that way himself, and that's kind of like why he feeds on that, but I still I'm a big, like, Trump person as the best solution in what we have right now. But the other thing is the American First, like, anti-Semite group that's growing up, and I think they're both, like, disgusting in various ways, like, they both I look at both of these and I'm like, "What is happening to the right?" Like, it really just feels like 2 giant tumors to me that I don't wanna be a part of either of them, you know? So that's
Yeah.
my
I think a lot of people are feeling that way. They're feeling like they don't have like a political
yeah.
home right now. And
Paula White is an example of this, like, the Paula White
we're really getting some hot takes.
the Paula White is an
We're naming
example of
names.
the Christian tumor on the right.
Yeah, I think that there is like a lot of excess and a lot of
Yeah,
like orientation around looks, and it's not oriented around Christian virtue.
right. Like,
And
I'm interested in a right that has virtue,
yes.
and neither one of these groups have virtue.
Yeah.
Um,
There are
and
people in it who are trying to have
yeah,
virtue,
right,
but there's an overall movement in a direction that is not virtuous.
right.
But yeah, I think that a major sign that the right needs an extreme makeover is the fact that the Republican Party is officially not pro-life anymore.
Yeah,
And so, like, if you look at the official, I can't remember what you call it, but like what we believe statement from the Republican Party, they're not pro-life. It is not explicitly pro-life anymore, and so there is not a pro-life party right now.
yeah.
Um,
And that's one of the 1,000 issues that I
the
think.
most pro-life, okay, the most pro-life stuff is happening on the right. And Trump, even though he's not pro-life, has been the most pro-life president that we've
Yeah.
had as far as what he's accomplished.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah, but he's not pro-life. And I think his wife wrote in her book that she believes that it's important that women have the right to
She
choose.
did a whole pro-choice, like, ad
Yeah.
at the beginning of his presidency,
And
second time.
so I think that represents like a very popular view right now of like I'm personally pro-life, but like you do you.
Right.
Um and so
On slaves, but it's okay if you have them.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. My last like half hot take is very short and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
But it's the way that we talk about mental health on the right.
Mm.
Because and I've seen I want to say I've seen a positive
All of your takes are against me.
not against you. No, but I see it happening on the right, and a movement in the right direction is happening.
Yeah.
But for a long time, the overall sentiment has been like mental health is fake, and like just you just need to work harder and you just need to like get over it.
Yes.
And there are probably elements of depression that are made better by simply working hard, and a lot of depressed people are unemployed. There's some correlation there,
Yeah.
okay? But there are real mental health things that
For
happen.
sure.
And here's the thing also is when people be like guns cause mass shootings.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are like, no, these people are mentally ill. That's the problem. And I'm like, which is it? Do you believe that mental illness is real or do you not? Because when it comes to gun rights, we believe that mental illness is real. But then when it comes to people just like trying to figure out how to get over what is going on with them, how to find a solution, we've often like kind of been dismissive or active, like kind of sarcastic about it. And the positive direction that I've seen recently is people on the right talking about mental health stuff. And this is really, really important because the only solution that has really existed for a long time, or the main solution, has been medication. Of course, therapy as well, but the therapy field has been largely dominated by people with harmful ideology. And so we need people who are conservative, who are Christian, who go into counseling, who go into therapy, who go into that field And we also need solutions because some people are really, really struggling and they need something. And the medications that we have available, for the most part, are really, really destructive. If you look at what's happening with, for example, Jordan Peterson right now, like he has a brain injury caused by psychiatric medications. And so the positive movement that I've seen is I've seen like some of the podcasts that I follow and stuff talking about alternatives like neurofeedback and brain spotting and different things like that. And actually seeking to bring healing, which I think is also like a more hopeful way of talking about this instead of just managing with medication for the rest of your life. Or let's actually like heal stuff that's going on. And so I think that's a really positive movement that we're seeing, and as conservatives and Christians, we need to be championing that instead of saying that everything is a demon. Do I think that like the enemy or demonic world operates in mental health stuff? Certainly. But I also think that a lot of it is from the presence of sin in the world. Like, not everybody needs deliverance when they have mental health problems. Like, a lot of times they need other types of support. So that's what
Yeah,
happened.
I think it's good. I think it's good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching and coming to. It was impromptu filming because we kept planning to film and then it was not happening because of all the chaos of our lives right now. But we're here in the Keel's garden.
Yep.
And comment if you like this video, share it with somebody if you think it would help them. And we'll see you again next time.